Welcome to Painting with Jesus, and today's scripture is from Jeremiah 29:1. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for good and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. And it's been a while since I've posted, and that's because I've been doing research. I've been looking up information for this video, in fact, because I have an idea. A couple videos ago I did one called Spirit Wings, where I painted pictures with verses of the song. Well, I thought of doing that again, but using a hymn, my favorite hymn, in fact. And that's what we're going to be doing today. And so the title of this video is Artful Hymns. Why not? You can create art out of the words, what the picture comes to mind, but as you read or sing the lyrics. And so in order to do that, you have to understand the background of the hymn. And my favorite hymn happens to be My Jesus as Thou Wilt, written by Benjamin Schmolk. In 1704 it came out. And so I did a little bit of the history here, and I was going to share it with you. Benjamin Schmolk was a German Lutheran pastor of the Church of the Holy Trinity in the early 18th century. And the hymn was translated to English by Jane Borthwick in the 19th century. This hymn is old. It's a humble submission to God's will in every circumstance of life, whether joyful or sorrowful. My Jesus as Thou Wilt opening line sets the tone of the hymn's entire message, a willingness to accept whatever the Lord allows in one's life, trusting His perfect wisdom and love. The stanzas of the hymn explore the seasons of life, times of joy, sorrow, trial, waiting, and eventually call home to eternal rest. In each case, the believer is taught to respond as Jesus did in the Garden of Gethsemane. Not my will, Father, but yours be done. The Lord's will is always for the believer's ultimate good, even when it is difficult to understand in the present moment. This trust rests firmly on the biblical truth that God is sovereign over every detail of life. This hymn encourages a life lived in complete surrender to God's will, confident that, as Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for good to them that love God. Excuse me. The tune is called Duet, from an opera by Karl von Weber, which was written in 1821. And I can't pronounce the German, but in English the opera is called The Marksman. And like I said, the hymn was first published in 1704. Ben was 32 years old. He was a deacon of the Protestant Church of Peace at the time. It was before he became a pastor. He was a deacon, and then he became a pastor in 1714. It was the most popular. No, Benjamin Schmolk was the most popular hymn writer of his day. Okay, and then as I read my notes, I know as I read my notes to you. And it was written as a response to the spiritual struggles and the need. This is the purpose of the hymn. Written as a response to the... I can't speak this morning. written as a response to the spiritual struggles and the need for a prayer that would guide his life. His dedication to his Christian ministry and his personal experience with paralysis, loss of vision deeply influenced his writing. The hymn reflects his commitment to surrendering his will to God and trusting his plan for his life regardless of the circumstances. Smoke's hymn serves as a reminder of the importance of faith and trust in God's will, especially during difficult times. And speaking of the paralysis, Benjamin had a stroke of paralysis in 1730 at age 58. He never recovered the use of his right hand. He preached the last time in 1735. He had another stroke which took his eyesight. Then he took to his bed and he passed away on February 12, 1737. He wrote 900 hymns. And so this hymn, I have the words written down in this wood-burning book that a friend made me. And let's see if I can find the words here. Yes, there are 7 stanzas, and it goes, My Jesus, as thou wilt, O may thy will be mine. Into thy hand of love I would my all resign. Through sorrow or through joy, conduct me as thine own, and help me still to say, My Lord, thy will be done. My Jesus, as thou wilt, if needy here and poor, give me thy children's bread, their portion rich and sure. The manna of thy word let my soul feed upon, and if all else should fail, my Lord, thy will be done. My Jesus, as thou wilt, If among thorns I go, still sometimes here and there let a few roses blow. But thou on earth along the thorny path has gone, then lead me after thee, my Lord, thy will be done. My Jesus, as thou wilt, though seen through many a tear, let not my star of hope grow dim or disappear. Since thou on earth hast wept and sorrowed oft alone, if I must weep with thee, my Lord, thy will be done. My Jesus, as thou wilt, if loved ones must depart, suffer not sorrow's flood to overwhelm my heart. For they are blessed with thee, their race and conflict won. Let me but follow them, my Lord, thy will be done. My Jesus, as thou wilt, when death itself draws nigh, to thy dear wounded side I would for refuge fly, leaning on thee to go where thou before hast gone, the rest as thou shalt please, my Lord, thy will be done. My Jesus, as thou wilt, all shall be well for me, each changing future scene I gladly trust with thee. Thus to my home above I travel calmly on, and sing in life or death, my Lord, thy will be done. And I was so excited about this. I got this of doing this project. I got this here it is. A Dina Wakely Media Journal. It has multi-services. It has cotton rag. It's not real. It doesn't really feel like paper, but it's cotton. And this is burlap. And then we have linen to paint on and art paper. And I'm going to have to figure out what to do with the art paper when we get to one, because it turns the watercolors dark. As you can see, because I started, see what the paper does? But this, and I'm calling this Artful Hymns because maybe I'll do more than this hymn. I'll do one more. And so there's my introduction to my journal or sketchbook, my Artful Hymns journal or Artful Hymns sketchbook. I don't know. What should I call it? And so I'm doing the hymn, My Jesus, as thou wilt. Oh, may thy will be mine. And then I put a portrait over here of Jesus to go with the words, my Jesus. I couldn't think of anything to go with that, so I just put those words there, you know, to go with the hymn, because I'm going to be going through all 7 verses. Yep, that's right, all 7 verses. And then the next line, into thy hand of love I would my all resign. I, of course, into thy hand of love put a hand. And according to the Shroud of Turin, Jesus was pierced in his hand. The wrist is actually part of the hand, so I put the wound there. And then I would my all resign. I put my all in the hand. Interesting, of course. And the reason why it looks like this is because on this paper, the black sort of goes through on the other side. So I took a watercolor ground, because this is watercolor paint. This is burlap here. I don't know if you can see that. This is burlap. I used this product here, and you spread it on, and I put it on over here, and then I painted on top of that. You'll see, because we're going to be doing this side today, and today is through sorrow. But as you see, if you put it too thick, it cracks, and so I'm hoping that'll be okay. But like I said, we shall see. And the product, I have it all sketched out here. I'm not going to use watercolor paints, although you can on this, because that's what this is. See, I had to try it first before I put it on video, because I needed to see if it would work for me. That's why I started this without you. Otherwise, you would have been with me from the beginning. And so this is Caran d'Ache Neo Color 2 crayons. And these are water soluble. You color with them, and then you take a brush with water and you can smooth it out. And so I haven't used these products, so I thought I would use them for this. And so it's interesting. And so I have through sorrow, I have someone here sorrowing, and then I'm going to make it like it's raining on them. And I'm going to do like a silhouette. Anyway, so here we go. I have it all drawn out here. I'm excited. I hope this comes out good. I hope you're excited about this as I am, because some of these hymns you don't even hear anymore. See, there's somebody sorrowing, and I was just going to color it in with black, because this person is all sorrowful. And so how easy is this so far? And this product is really nice. I even like how it smells. It's like totally awesome to work with. I mean, you just spread it out like frosting. It was originally meant for acrylic paint. But I thought, well, you can use it for watercolor. And since this is I forgot what they call the word for the substrate. The paper is the substrate, I think, if I got that right. You can use it because obviously you can't use a watercolor on burlap. You could use even other paints, but you would have to, otherwise you get the texture, and you still do here a little bit. See, I put the paint too thick, the ground too thick. That's why it's cracked here. Because the page is still bendable. The page is still bendable, as you see. It's still a flexible product. Okay, and then you take a brush, and my brush is right here. I like to use a small brush when I do this, because then, and see how the water just smooths it out. It looks like a watercolor painting. And so this hymn, Benjamin Schmoke is a pastor. He had a student or a pupil or someone in his church that he was helping. And I wanted to share this too, because since this hymn that I'm working on can be quite sorrowful, as it talks about sorrow, as I'm doing this sorrowful picture now, people can get overcome with sorrow, like Johann Christian Gunther, who lived from 1695 to 1723. And his story, I do believe Benjamin Schmoke was trying to help him. His story is his family, Gunther's family, wanted him to be a doctor, so was sending him to doctor school or to college. And unfortunately, Johann wasn't taken to it. He didn't really want to be a doctor. He had plans to do something else with his life. And so because he wasn't having good grades, his family exploded around him when he went back home, and they weren't too accepting that he wanted to be a poet. And so the family just sort of kicked him out, disowned him, and he refused to be a doctor. So he was a poet. And so his family kicked him out. And so because of that, his sorrow, he became an alcoholic. And if you're familiar with Pilgrim's Progress, he sunk into the slough of misery because his family disowned him. He probably wasn't even, back then, he wasn't even allowed to probably go see them. He was like disowned or whatever. And so he sunk so low into the slough of misery that he died at the age of 28, which is really sad. This hymn was written before him, but it's just amazing. And so the hymn is talking about God's will. And like our scripture reference says, God has a plan for each of us. Whatever that may be. And he allows into our life whatever he wills. I mean, you know, whether it's sorrow or joy. Today we're working on the sorrow. And you're probably wondering, well, why? It's almost Christmas. Why are you dealing with this, Bob? And I don't know. I was just thinking, there are a lot of people out there that are dealing with a lot of stuff that, and so this is for them, this hymn. God allowed all that stuff in your life for a reason. He wants you to draw close to him and to do his will. And what is his will? What is God's ultimate will? Is it not to trust in his Son, Jesus, who will see us through our sorrow and our joy? Because sometimes we can be overcome by joy and there, no one, hardly anyone's at the middle ground. The sorrowful people don't understand the joyful people, and the joyful people don't understand the sorrowful people. That has been my discovery in my life, and it's quite interesting how that works out in certain people's life. And like Johann, some go into the slough of addiction, which is sad, yes. And there are some people who come out of the addiction, who end up coming out of the addiction, and that is part of God's will, to take you down. I guess we are all broken. We all have issues. And so in our brokenness, when God fills us with himself, his light shines through the cracks of our brokenness, and that's how we shine. We are like jars of clay with our brokenness. You understand what I'm trying to say, I'm sure. Okay. Now, oh, it's in my lap. And see that I wanted that like that. All right. And so that's how I did this. This was also done with the crayons. And I used it here in the background, but it was mostly, this was mostly watercolor paint. So see, you can paint on it, or you can use the crayons, you can use acrylic, anything. And this paper here, like I said, it's like, I don't know, it feels like paper, but it may not be paper. I don't know. It has the same texture as this. And sometimes the paint goes through if I use too much water. So this ground helps. Anyway, now on to the next thing. And what was that? Yes. Well, I have to put that there like that. Whoops, I'm just knocking everything over here. And some acrylic. I'm going to use acrylic paint on top of that. I'm going to stencil a design on there. The rain pouring down on them. I feel like that could be blacker, but that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. It's in a sketchbook. And this is the rain coming down on them. And I got myself a sponge. And so, like I'm saying, the joyful people don't quite understand the sorrowful people, why they're always so sorrowful. I mean, when you're in a good spot, you don't quite get it. But then when you're in a bad situation, then you understand. Then you understand about the sorrow, and that's how we always tend to forget. Oh, this is what this is why he was so sad all the time, or whatever. And there are a lot of Bible characters that dealt with sorrow. Jesus himself dealt with sorrow. I mean, I think of Elijah, Job. So sorrow is it's okay. It's a needful thing. And then I just set the sponge in the and that's as good as I get right there. Probably a little too much water, but all right. Maybe I shouldn't have gone so thick there. Anyway, can't take it off. It is what it is. And so, God's will. And we'll be talking more about that. About God's will. Of course, not every hymn is like this. Some hymns are joyful. I don't know what attracts me to this song, but I just think this song is so wonderful, this hymn. I even had it sung at my wedding to my, when I married my wife. And I had my sister-in-law sing this hymn, and she was like, "Why would you sing this at a wedding?" And I was like, "'Cause it's my favorite hymn. I want my favorite hymn sung." And it's like, at Christmas time, I believe people need to know about God's will, that he allows things in our lives. We may not understand the reason behind it, but if that is God's will, can you go up there and change his mind? I mean, we can lean on him in prayer, but if we accept his will, which is mainly to trust in his son, Jesus, Jesus would help us through the bad times, and he would be with us with the good times. So I pray I made sense as I discussed this. And there you have it, Through Sorrow. And tomorrow, I understand I'll be able to do the next one over here. We'll paint on this strange surface, which I've already done over here. And the next word is through sorrow or through joy. So I have to come up with a joyful picture, and I kind of have one in mind. So hopefully you're excited about this as much as I am, because when I'm done with this, I'm going to be doing it on camera, off camera, And there's another hymn, one I've never even heard of. I've discovered another hymn written by this guy that is just like, wow, it floored me. I mean, hymns, the old hymns, they speak truth. And when you find the truth in an old hymn, it's like, oh, wow. Today's songs, sometimes they hint at it, but they don't quite get there. I don't know what it is. They're more interested in repeating certain lines. Although this one does repeat. It always repeats, my Jesus as thy wilt, and my Lord thy will be done. But in between those, there's different words. This hymn doesn't quite do the repeating as some does. And so that's it for today. And so my prayer for you, if you are saddened like most people are around this time of year, I pray that the season will be easy on you, because sometimes there's histories with our family that we just can't quite get over. And when we all get together, it always comes up, you know. And so my prayer for you is that you will go easy on yourself this year, and that you will cast your care upon Jesus, because he cares for you. Thanks for watching.